Welcome back to Seconds Out. Ayman Khan here with boxers Ben Shalom. We've just witnessed the weigh-in for Lawrence Okolie versus David Light. Lawrence has always flitted around the 200 pounds mark, always talk about cruiserweight, but how do you look on the scales for you in his world title defense?
Looks very good. It's definitely the one thing that concerns Lawrence the most since his team is making weight. He's a big boy, but he's a professional, and I had no doubts. But this is the hardest part for him, and now we can relax and enjoy it. Like, he wants to fight, he loves to fight. But yeah, looked great on the scales, as did David Light. Both ready, both here at the David Light's most important fight of his career. You could argue it's Lawrence Okolie's most important fight of his career. He beat an aging Glowacki, and he's done very, very well. Sislak, whatever, but this is a guy that, for me, is a lot tougher than people realise. Great amateur pedigree, never lost before, in this prime, active, won away last time. It's a seriously important fight for Lawrence, and because of what's to come as well.
Boxer into your direction are amassing a number of cruiserweights. It feels like a cruiserweight tournament might be in the offing soon, maybe?
I think so. I think Lawrence needs to come through in style, and then we should have a big announcement next week. Obviously, we reserved a few dates this week because of the venues and them wanting us to confirm. But yeah, it's exciting because as a boxing fan, I'm excited because as a boxing fan, you just want to see guys that you know what's going to happen, and you know you're going to see great fights, and you're going to see people in their prime. CBS in his prime, no excuses. Domestic clash with Chamberlain was our first one of the fights of the year. Then stepped up, huge knockout in December. He's ready. Riatpour, what a development story. Fought Glowacki last time out and looked extremely impressive, and his development has been perfect. He's now world level. He's ready. Lawrence is obviously there. Gets this fight out of the way. He's ready. So it's good because it's three guys knocking on the door for the big fights in the division. Lawrence will believe he's the best in the division. Richard will believe he's better than Lawrence. Chris believes that he is so much better than the fighter that narrowly lost to Richard Riatpour and then now can be at world level. So yeah, as a boxing fan, it's what you want to do, and that's why it's exciting, because we know it's so easy for us to make. And yeah, I think it'll be something that people can really look forward to, and we can announce the details next week.
Michael Gomez Jr., a bundle of energy, putting their head in there, but he looks ready and round to go, and he's brought a number of fans with him too.
Yeah, look, Michael Gomez is a hero in Manchester boxing, a serious hero, and people can't believe where Mikey Gomez Jr. always had so much potential. Anyone on the scene in boxing knows that he would go from trainer to trainer, gym to gym, messing around, drinking, this and that. Had a really tough upbringing. Obviously, Michael Gomez himself is in a difficult way and has been for a long time. And obviously, thoughts are sort of with him and hope that he recovers, because he won't be there on Saturday night. This is his son, who's gone down an extremely hard route. He's extremely charismatic. We'll see the Mexican hats. It'll be nostalgic, but he's a character. Just to see him, people will say, "Oh, what a dick," and this and that, and I can see that, and he is at times. But when I knew him, I've known him since I've started in boxing. 22 years old, I was driving around this city centre trying to find him on a weigh-in day because he'd been out drinking or whatever. This guy's crazy, he is, but he's now been at the same trainer for 2 years. He realises he's got 2 kids. This is his moment. He's a talented boxer. He's got the name support. He's on Sky Sports at the Manchester Arena, just like his dad used to do so many years ago. He's locked in. Obviously, I hope he doesn't lose his head, because he can do that. But he's a fighter that everyone will remember. He's in a tough fight tomorrow, and although Levi Giles is also really confident and such a nice kid and doesn't deserve to be put on his back there, so don't condone that. But it's an exciting fight, and it's 2 guys fighting for their careers, and a son of a legend back at the Manchester Arena. It's got a lot to it.
There's another man familiar to people in Manchester, that being Liam Smith, only over the road in Liverpool. He's been flitting around this week talking about his position right now. Chris Eubank Jr. fight maybe not happening next, but what's the options on the table for Liam Smith?
Well, we feel like we have to do it because our rematch clause was activated, and we didn't ask for the rematch. That was put to us in a Wasserman contract, and so we all knew we had to do the rematch if they activated it, and even everything was there, and that's what. So it's difficult for us because when Liam had that wonderful night, when we agreed for Eubank to come and face Liam and put his name on the line, we had to agree the rematch. They had 30 days to activate it. They activated it. And so we've had to do all sorts to make sure that fight happens. Liam's not taking the Janabek world title fight. There's other fights that talking about. I'm with Matt Rose talking about Tim Tszyu now, about Tim Tszyu coming to the UK and fighting Liam Smith. There's massive fights, but we have a contract and we had commitments. And so what Eddie said in the week confused me a little bit, but then Calla, I think, cleared it up yesterday. So we'll see in the next few days. I think we're ready to go, and we've made provision to do that.
I've heard whispers. I'm not sure about it, but I'm going to go with it. Is a Billy Joe Saunders Liam Smith fight on the table potentially?
Look, I think Liam Smith has huge fights for him available, and he's a name. Kell Brook's going to be there on Saturday night. There's so many. It's great. He's in a great position after what he did. He first box office show, and he's now in that category, and he's one of the few fighters that can sell out arenas as well. So he's got a lot of options. But as I say, I'm contractually committed to delivering the rematch for Wasserman, and we've had to do that and go through all that, and I won't go into it now, but that takes a lot to put in place. So that's where we're at, and I'll speak to Calla. I think he's got a show tonight in Bolton, so I might go and see him.
I spoke to Joe Parker on Monday, and he talked through the short list of potential fights for him next. One of them, interestingly, was Daniel Dubois, and that was so far down the line. You can tell me how far that was, but that maybe now is off the table because he may potentially fight Usyk. But what's next for Joe Parker?
Again, he'll be back. He's been in Ireland. He'll be there on Saturday night. He's very close with David Light. He's actually extremely confident for David Light. He's got options. I'm sure we'll discuss on Saturday. But again, he just wants the big fights. Obviously, the Joe Joyce thing, he did something that no one else would do. He wasn't 100%, and he went on another network to fight one of the most avoided men in the heavyweight division. And he just wants to get back in there and show what he's about. But there's some big fights there, whether Jarrell Miller, Michael Hunter, as you said, Daniel Dubois, that he's not short of options. It's just working out what's best for him and what he wants to do.
Michael Hunter seemed to think that the fight was agreed. Was that the position? Was the fight agreed in principle?
In principle, I think Michael Hunter we offered him to fight Jack Massey actually on that Jan 21, and we were looking at how that would all come together. Didn't happen. Jose Parker fought Jack, and look, we'll see. I know it's a fight they both want. It's just whether we can make it happen.
Clarissa Shields was teasing a big announcement. Is it potentially the fight with Savannah Marshall? I think that's an announcement coming soon in terms of Savannah's next fight. Is that the next fight on the horizon?
I don't believe it is. We did offer the rematch in the UK. I don't believe she felt like she had to come to the UK, which is fair enough. You know, she's won the fight, and she might want to fight in the US. I get the impression we did offer it, and it seems like she preferred to fight in the US. So I think that's what will happen.
Jumping back to the fight and Lawrence Okolie, just speaking to Lawrence, it seemed like in the background there's still some legal wrangling to go on in terms of his position at Matchroom there. What is the status and how much can you tell us about that? Is he clear? Will he be signing with Boxer? What's the position?
Well, one is not my legal case. It's between those two, and I'm pretty sure it's confidential because any fighter, I don't know what I can say here, but they ensure that Lawrence can't talk about it. So it is what it is. So I can't talk about it. But yeah, Lawrence is fine. And as I say, big announcement next week in the whole Cruiserweight thing. Assuming things might not go well on Saturday night. I really think this is a genuine world title fight. Even if they don't, we'll have something. But let's get through Saturday night and then we can announce something with the Cruiserweights.
Do you feel and hope that the back and forth between Lawrence, Eddie Hearn, Josh Boaty will stop now and everyone can kind of go their own ways?
I hope so. Like, honestly, it's straining and I feel myself being brought into it, and we're just trying to do our job. We're working so hard. We've always worked so hard. We have to work for everything that we've got. It's a dream to be in this position. We love boxing. We don't want to be in this position. We want to be able to make fights. It was only yesterday Frank Smith's talking to me about Kieran Conway against Tyler Denny. I don't want to do all this. It's nonsense. It genuinely hurts the sport, and I have a lot of respect for them. A lot of respect. I don't think it's helpful, this sort of stuff. You know, journalists are calling our PR department saying we've been asked to say this or we've been asked to write this, you know, in regards to ticket sales. Ticket sales have done 6,000, more than you could ever expect Lawrence Okolie or any London fighter to do in Manchester. So we're over the moon because this night wasn't even meant to happen. This was happening after the whole Taylor Cattrall situation. So again, it's just all a bit like, what are we doing? Why are we focusing our energy on that? I appreciate they'll see, we've taken their fighters, but their fighters are out of contract, and we weren't the only ones to put in an offer. Queensberry, Top Rank, everyone wants those sort of fighters, and because they decided to come to us, that's fine. But just, I don't want to get personal. I know it's difficult, and sometimes I feel myself not acting myself. Like, I'm not that sort of person. We're just we actually love the sport. We think we can do great things. We're in a still very early stage. We had no fighters 18 months ago. We're working so hard to build a stable, and then we can start to put on the fights that we want. And I think people will start to see the method in the madness as time goes on. But yeah, it has to stop now. I hope it stops, because there's going to be more fighters are going to leave me. 100%, I know that, but for me, it's the fighter's decision, in the sense that we've never had to fight our way out of poverty and for a living and everything like that. They're doing something we can never comprehend, in my opinion, and I'm not saying it's wrong to do so. I actually wouldn't, even whatever a fighter says to me, and there's been plenty of fighters that have come out and said, I'm this and I'm that and this and that. I would never go back at a fighter. I don't know what it is, but I just won't. And they might call me anything under the sun and this and that, and it's fair enough, but I won't. I don't want to get in confrontation. We want to just get on with the sport. We're so excited to even be promoting one of the only British world champions there is in such a tough fight in my hometown, where we don't get many world title fights, and there's so many opportunities on the card as well. So yeah, I hope it stops. Everyone can move forward, and we can start working together.
Two last questions for me. Jai Apatai is a free agent now. That cruiserweight mix that you talked about earlier, he'd be a good entrant into that mix too. Any interest in signing Jai?
Yes. Yes, I won't. Again, I think he's had his own legal stuff going on with Dean Lonergan and the promoter over there. So we're hoping that cleans up. But yeah, there's some big fights for him as well. So yeah, it's exciting. We want Lawrence to unify. We want Lawrence to prove he's the greatest cruiserweight in the world. We want Richard to get his opportunity to prove that he's better than Lawrence Okolie. There was no one that wanted Lawrence to sign with us more than Richard Riakporhe as well. Chris Billam-Smith wants his world titles. So it's good. And Jai, of course, but we'll just see what happens with his situation.
Finally, for fans tuning in this weekend, what can they expect to see from the Boxer Show?
I think it's going to be a night where on Sunday people are like, wow, that was a good show. Mikey Gomez Jr. against Levi Giles is a war. Callum Simpson, for me, is a future superstar. You have to see this guy. You have to watch him. He's just as high. He will be just as high profile as the Ben Whitakers, the Lawrence Okolies, the Boatzis, the Caroline Dubois, the Fraser Clarks, the guys that we've signed that everyone knows about. This guy is a diamond. Karis Artingstall. And you don't see many local Manchester, like local women's fights, because there's just not many. We've got two girls from Manchester, both coming to win. She begged for the fight, Lindsay. We couldn't say no. Karis, fair play in a third fight, is going in there. That's another war. On the stream, you've got Aaron McKenna, Samuel Lampwey, Shaquille Thompson, Frankie Stringer, Harvey Lambert, all hoping to develop. Aaron McKenna and Shaquille Thompson looks like they're going to meet next in the middleweight division, and then Fraser Clark, for me, is in a better fight now against Bogdan Dinu. And given where we were on Sunday with Riddell Booker, that's a huge turnaround. I think it's going to be a great show. I know there's a lot of younger people come to this show. I know that it's been cheaper for them to get tickets. I know that it's going to be a special atmosphere in there, and then we get to top it off with a genuine world title with so much interest, with new trainers, with politics, with everything. Everyone, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to watch Lawrence Okolie lose on Saturday night, and I'm well aware of that. It's going to be on a massive audience. Sky's main event as well as Sky Showcase. It's going to be huge, and then we can get going with the cruiserweights next week.
Ben, good conversation. Thank you for speaking to Seconds Out. Looking forward to the show. Thanks, appreciate it.